My name is Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well radio show. We broadcast every Saturday from noon to 1 and talk about your health and your life. We cover a wide range of topics, including wellness and health care, elder care, end-of-life care, and caregiver support. Today is Saturday, June 22nd, 2019, and we have another great show lined up for you. Joining me in studio is Kim Green. She's a senior move manager and owner of Soft Landing Transitions. We will be talking about the benefits of using a professional senior move manager today and how to go about that process and even how to select the right service for you. We are broadcasting live today and are looking forward to answering your questions about this important service that's becoming more and more needed as our population ages. So feel free to call us with your questions at 952-946-6205. Once again, 952-946-6205. You can find that phone number on the AM 950 website if you need it. We'll give that number out throughout the show. So please give us a call if you have any questions on today's topic. Our friendly show producer, Sam Turnberg, will be answering the phones today and taking care of the show and the scheduling here. Or, if you prefer, you can bypass Sam and directly text us your questions on our radio show phone number, which is 612-999-3426. Once again, 612-999-3426. You can find all of our recordings of our previous shows on the AM 950 website by clicking the on-demand button and then clicking on our show logo, Living Healthy and Aging Well. The purpose of this radio show is to bring you specialists and experts and people with a passion for helping others from across the health and wellness fields to provide insights and recommendations on how best to navigate the complexities and challenges of managing both you and your family's health and quality of life. We also focus on our senior population and how we can help you prepare for the various stages of life's transitions. In addition, we provide vital information to the caregivers who are essential to supporting our aging population. I am so grateful for the opportunity each week to discuss these timely and relevant topics with you, and I'm thankful for your feedback on all these topics we have. Please always feel free to give us a call, leave us a voice message or a text message regarding information about the show or topics you want us to bring to you on the show. Again, please feel free to reach out to us at 612-999-3426. I want to mention one of the friends of the show, Tim Thorpe, who is the executive director of Pathways, which is a healing center located in Minneapolis. And they were on the show here earlier this year. They do a great job in working with people with terminal illness and lifelong chronic issues. And they've got a great program set up coming up next month on Wednesday, July 24th. It's going to be a film and a reading that was produced by somebody who had a chronic illness, and this individual, Jeannie Picos, is a writer and a poet and an arts person, and she writes about and talks about her cancer journey in her award-winning memoir called Buoyancy. The film Buoyancy talks about living between the dualities of dealing with a chronic illness, but also then dealing with life as it approaches her. So that is going to be held at 6 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday, July 24th. If you have any questions there, please reach out to Pathways Healing Center in Minneapolis, and you can find ticket information at 612-822-9061. And I tell you, Tim and the team there at Pathways Health do amazing work. And as many of you know, they do all that work for free. So people who have chronic illnesses and life-limiting illnesses can go there and get help for free. So again, great work, Tim. We sure appreciate the efforts you do here in the Twin Cities area. All right. Well, let me introduce our guest today. I'm really excited to have her here. She is a senior move manager and owner of Soft Landing Transitions, and we're going to talk about the benefits of working with a professional senior move manager as people look to transition, to downsize, to right size, and even looking at transitioning into different types of living alternatives. And so with that, Kim, welcome to the show today.
Thanks, Ken. I really appreciate being here. And I want to thank Tricia Thur of Care Options Network for inviting me today and introducing us. So great opportunity to have a conversation together about such an important topic.
Yes, and Tricia and the whole team there at Care Options Network, again, another amazing organization. They are dedicated to helping support our aging population. And so wonderful people, and they're just great. So, thank you for bringing us together here. Well, before we start talking about downsizing, right-sizing, and all of the things that go into this, and it's a very important part because it sets the stage for these life transitions that we all are going to face, personally, but also with our family, with our parents, with our relatives. It's going to be a great conversation here. But I would love to learn a little bit more about you. Our audience loves to hear about the backstory and the background of our guests, and then how you kind of got into owning this organization and your involvement then in becoming a senior move manager.
Sure. Well, my background is as a project manager and an event planner, and more recently I had the opportunity to take care of my parents over a 10-year period and move them 7 times. And they lived in Kansas City, so I was leaving Minneapolis and traveling there about every other month to help with these transitions. And I learned a lot in the process. So when I came home after my mom passed, I decided that this was something that I really wanted to pursue. I have this passion about being able to take care of this senior population. And as a project manager, my background, it just fits with my sequential organizational thinking. And so it was just really a nice segue and a nice opportunity.
It's so interesting. I've had the honor of talking to some amazing people on this radio program over the last couple of years, and it's so interesting. There's a common theme about people sometimes in mid-career. They end up taking care of their own family or their parents, and they realize just what that involves, what that undertaking is for all that. And they literally will shift gears. They'll change careers and go into this area. And I find it fascinating that it's such a common theme for people. And you fit right into that classification of kind of changing gears a bit and finding kind of your passion and your calling.
It's true, because a lot of senior move managers have the same background that I have. They started taking care of their parents or a loved one and realized that there is a need, and they chose to move forward with this kind of a career. Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, too. We are seeing right before us a crisis unfolding. It's kind of like a glacier is moving along. It kind of moves along slowly, but it's very powerful. And we have this baby boom generation that is now retiring at the rate of 10,000 people a day. And they are going to be looking for help in going through the retirement process and ultimately end of life stages. And so we as a society, I think, are just not yet aware of what this mega trend is going to do for us and what the needs are going to be. So people like yourself and others I've interviewed coming together at this point, changing careers and helping be a part of this support system and services is vital.
Right. 2 out of 3 of us will need some kind of care as we age. And it's evident already when you look around the city and you see the number of senior living centers that are popping up almost weekly. And they're lovely. and they're filling. They're hard to move into, particularly if you want a 2-bedroom. 1-bedrooms are a little bit easier to find, but the choice is better to make it when you're ready to move so that you can select where you want to go rather than when there's an emergent crisis and now you are forced to pick a place where you need to be.
I would say the one word that is consistent with whomever I'm interviewing and whatever services they provide is planning. And
Absolutely.
That is one of the reasons why I do this show, is to help people think about these things, because when the crisis happens and, mom or dad gets discharged from the hospital, a broken hip or something happened, and they can no longer be independent.
Right.
That's not the time to be thinking through these things. But I see it happen over and over again. And so the best thing to do is think this through. The best thing to do is call you, get a consultation, have a conversation with you to understand what is involved. And we're going to go through that in the next 3 segments here.
Sure. What
is involved as we wrap up this first segment. But there is amazing changes afoot here in our society. And you're right, we're seeing so many buildings being built now to help assisted living and memory care and other things. And there's a big process that goes on before you get to that point. So I hear the music cueing us out here. We will be right back to continue our conversation with Kim Green, Senior Move Manager and owner of Soft Landing Transitions. And we're talking about the benefits of using a professional senior move manager as we transition people through the stages of retirement and living. Please stay with us.
Taking prescription medication should not be a scary task. The staff at St. Paul Corner Drug makes certain you know everything about your prescription medication before you leave the pharmacy. Knowing what to expect and when and how to take your prescriptions gives you the confidence to safely take your medication and maintain good health. Should additional questions arise, we are here to help sort things out. St. Paul Corner Drug, pharmacy the way it should be, at stpaulcornerdrug.com.
This is Gregory Rich, founder of Habitation Furnishing and Design and host of Drink in the Style every Sunday at 5 p.m. You know, on the radio program, I often say that life is the big stuff, but living is in the details. The furniture in your home may be details, but that's where you do the living. So why not speak to one of Habitation's design professionals about making your space the best it can be? Habitation, 4317 Excelsior Boulevard in St. Louis Park.
Chances are after spring cleaning you missed a spot. A couple really big spots, like your roof and siding. Run your fingers across your siding. You'll likely get a gross residue. And your roof probably has some black streaks too. Your roof and siding aren't always easy to clean, but they're definitely the most visible parts of your home that give it its curb appeal. So let Blue Sky Services clean your roof and siding. Blue Sky's safe soft wash method won't cause any damages and will make your home look like new. Right now, Blue Sky Services is running their summer special where you can get your whole house, roof, and siding cleaned starting at only $447. That's the most viewed parts of your home cleaned for only $447. Then mention AM 950 when you call Blue Sky Services to get an additional $50 off. So get the curb appeal back on your home and call Blue Sky Services at 952-467-2447. That's 952-467-2447.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way a fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Welcome back. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Kim Green, Senior Move Manager and owner of Soft Landing Transitions. And we are talking about the benefits of using a professional senior move manager and helping people with transitions. And we're going to get into that a lot more here. But before we get back into that conversation, I want to mention this radio program is brought to you each week by the amazing team of people at Minnesota Hospice. They are an independent, physician-owned medical practice that's been serving local Minnesota communities for over 11 years with innovative and comprehensive end-of-life health care. If you have any questions regarding end-of-life care or support, please reach out and contact the compassionate team of experts at Minnesota Hospice at 952-898-1022 or visit them online at minnesotahospice.com. Well, Kim, let's be sure and give information to our audience here about how they can get a hold of you and your organization to help them with these planning issues that we're going to talk about in the next couple segments. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Either my website or my phone number, and the website is www.softlandingtransitions.com, all one word, or my phone number at 763-639-5931.
Fantastic. And we will give out that information at the onset of every segment here, and at the end of the show. So if you missed it, don't worry, we'll give it out again. But let's first thing, before we get into our deep into the conversation here, let's make sure that people understand, what are the services you and your organization provide to your clients, your families. Let's make sure they're really clear about what is a professional senior move manager and what do they do.
A senior move manager helps older adults and their families transition either by aging in place if they're interested in staying in their home for the extent they can, or by helping them transition from their home into a senior community. So I start with a plan. I meet with the family. I listen so intently. I want to know where's their favorite chair that they sit in. I want to know, do you have any other challenges in terms of trying to reach for your coffee mug in the morning? Should we make those coffee mugs a little lower in the cabinet for you? And then after they've selected a place, oftentimes they're moving from a larger home into a smaller community, so they have to figure smaller apartment, so they have to think about what they're going to be able to take with them. So I'll go to the community, get a floor plan, come back, show the client their floor plan of what they can take, because often they forget. They think they can take a lot more than what the actual space is available, and that's costly in the end for a mover. So I help to also decrease those costs by selecting the right things that are focused on storage, accessibility, making sure that wherever we set up furniture, that it's not in front of the HVAC and the AC, making sure they can reach electrical outlets if they happen to have an electric wheelchair or a scooter. So, and then I help resettle. I make sure that on the day that they move in, that they are comfortable, they have dinner with their friends that night, and that the movers are up and ready and out the door. So
there's a lot of coordination, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
And one of the key words, and we're going to emphasize this throughout the show today, is planning, planning, planning. You help them do the planning process. Yes. Because as we all know, I think the top three stressors in life are death, divorce, and moving, or something like that. And so moving is, especially, and what I found out in working with our aging population, they're moving from an environment that they've had possibly for decades.
Yes.
Or more. They may have been born in that and raised in that home, and they've lived in that home, raised their children in that home, and all of a sudden they're being faced with a transition for a number of reasons. Sometimes the children are encouraging this, and we'll talk about the mediation work that you end up kind of doing sometimes with the children and the parents in helping recognize the situation. But it just seems like there's a lot of memories and there's a lot of emotion attached to that home. And as we've talked earlier, the majority of the people want to stay in their home.
Right.
But the reality is, they're not going to be able to.
Right. 75% of us think that we can stay in a home and we want to. Then only about 50% think they can after a period of time. Yeah. So the good thing to do is to start downsizing early. Start thinking about that in terms of cleaning out closets, or maybe sharing some of those things like china with the granddaughter, or maybe it's sharing some of those tools. So it's start to think about downsizing first and right sizing, so that when the time comes, it's less expensive to move it. It's less expensive in terms of you've already given out some of those pieces that maybe they did have value, and now you've been able to donate or sell them.
And that's a good point. The more time you have, you can be thoughtful about what's really important to you.
Yes.
And again, when I've talked to other people about this, the first part of our life is about accumulation, because you need to for families and for your career, for all these things you accumulate, and then at some point you start to then have to let things go. And having someone there who is a third party, who's got an independent way of looking at things and can help people with the pros and cons and the pluses and minuses of keeping it versus letting it go, and giving, again, so donations or doing sales,
right,
can help support that transition.
And the hard part, too, is that when it's a family member, it's a little more difficult to have those conversations, whereas I'm sort of an intermediary where I can help buffer some of that and remove some of the chaos and the emotion to that. I remember, here's a story that I remember from my mom. My mom was moving from one apartment to another that didn't have a stove any longer, and she had limited cabinet space, and she had 4 spatulas. And I said, Mom, how many spatulas do you need? You won't have a stove. Which one would you like to keep? Let's keep one. And she said, well, I want them all. I said, but Mom, you only have 2 drawers. So having that process and talking about it, eventually we worked something out, but it is hard. She's worked hard all of her life for those things, and giving up her 4 spatulas was a big deal. So it's easier if you can have someone to come in and kind of help with that process.
What I have seen so many times is that family dynamics make it very, very difficult sometimes to get to a decision. There's just competing perspectives and things, and the value you bring is not just in organizing and planning, it's helping to get through the process. And you can kind of be, like I say, that third-party independent voice of reason and experience, saying, here's what we want to really maybe consider these alternatives.
And the other challenge is that oftentimes we think that our goods, our belongings are worth more than what they really are. So that's hard to part with those things, when in reality today, if you have a set of china like I do that's probably 100 years old, it's not worth anything anymore. No one really wants that anymore, but that's really hard to part with. So we try to find ways that we can part with some of those things on a comfortable measure, if you will. Exactly, and it gives people a chance to think that through themselves and come to that same conclusion. Well, the music is cueing us out again here. It's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Kim Green, Senior Move Manager and owner of Soft Landing Transitions, and we're talking about using their services to help with transitions. Please stay with us.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950, here to tell you about Snap Construction. They're experts in roofing, siding, window, and insurance restoration. They have energy-efficient products available for both residential and commercial properties. This spring, when we needed a company to take a look at a problem with our roof, I called the company I knew I could trust, Snap Construction. I've known Ryan, the owner at Snap Construction, for years, so I knew I could trust him. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their reviews online. They are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor online in the metro area. Over the years, Ryan has always said the same thing to me about his work. If we build it, shouldn't we be held accountable for the work indefinitely? He backed that statement up years ago when Snap Construction was a pioneer in offering a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee on all their work. For a free estimate or general questions, call the locally owned company AM 950 Trust, Snap Construction, at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP, or find them online at snapconstruction.com. They have financing options available.
Hello, friends. I've been talking to you about Prairie Oaks Memorial Eco Gardens, Minnesota's first green cemetery dedicated to celebrating life and protecting our environment. One of the many wonderful things they have is something called the living urn. Ashes are buried in an urn with seedlings ultimately coming back to life as a glorious tree. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Why don't you log on to the website mngreengraves.com. Learn more about Prairie Oaks Memorial Eco Gardens. See if it might be something that's meaningful for you.
Native Roots Radio is proud to announce we've added an extra hour.
Yeah, Chushke, 1 hour goes by too fast.
That's right, Uncle Curtis.
I'll have extra time to share important information about our secret animals.
And report national and native news from all over the country and Canada.
This new hour is sponsored by Robbins Kaplan LLP, dedicated to redefining excellence for high-stakes litigation representation in Indian country.
We are awake.
Are you thinking of buying or selling a home, or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then why not become a house geek? Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall with Bricks Real Estate and the host of the House Geeks Real Estate Show, here with your Market Minute. 4.92 is the average number of showings per week per listing in the median sale price range here in the Twin Cities. This is holding steady and is a key early indicator of demand in the marketplace. The median sale price is up 5.2% over the same time last year, and the 30-year conventional interest rate is at around 3.82%. This is down again slightly over last week. The conclusion for sellers, this is still a good time of year to come onto the market and get a good value. However, the market typically will start to slow down faster after the 4th of July holiday. For buyers, the rates just keep dropping and the inventory of homes keeps rising, making it a pretty good time to be out there looking. Thinking about making a move? Then check us out at housegeeks.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Sam Turnberg. Today we have increasing clouds with a high near 77. Tonight there's a chance of storms with a low around 65. Tomorrow's cloudy with a high near 76. Monday mostly cloudy with a high near 77. And Tuesday sunny with a high near 84. The Eat Local Minnesota Restaurant of the Week is the Downtowner Wood Fire Grill. The Downtowner is the perfect choice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Try fresh wood-fired pizza and experience their cozy fireside dining, all at 253 West 7th Street in St. Paul or online at downtownerwoodfire.com.
Welcome back. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life and your family's health and their life as well. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today in studio is Kim Green, Senior Move Manager and owner of Soft Landing Transitions. And we're talking about the benefits of using a professional senior move manager to help with the downsizing, the right sizing, the transitions that we're all facing here. And as our population ages, it's becoming more and more of a valuable service. And I want to make sure people know that they can call people like Kim and start this planning process well in advance so they have time to do it right. Kim, please let our audience know how they can get a hold of you if they have questions or they want to have a consultation or get information about your services.
Thanks. You can reach me. There's a form on my website. It's www.softlandingtransitions.com, or my phone number is 763-639-5931.
Fantastic. Before we get back into our conversation, I want to mention that this radio program is brought to you in part each week by the fabulous team at Genetic Health RX. They specialize in providing a simple one-time DNA test to ensure the medications you are taking or are planning to take are the best ones for your unique genetic profile. And by doing this, you may also help reduce potential negative drug side effects. They will work with your doctor to create a personalized medication management program, again, by using a simple one-time test. This test is covered by Medicare and most insurance plans, so please reach out to the team at Genetic Health RX. You can reach them at 612-991-9930. Once again, 612-991-9930, or visit them at genetichealthrx.com. rx.com. All right, back into our conversation here. Kim and I were talking off the air here. A lot of times it's the children of the parents that contact her and have concerns because they're seeing changes in how their parents are living in their home. And one of the concerns that they have, of course, is safety. And there's a great resource that Kim and I were talking about through AARP. And Kim, would you maybe mention what that resource is? Maybe we can talk about some of those topics of safety and security.
Sure. It's important that your loved ones are safe in their home. So many of us already know some of the common things, rugs that have an anti-slip barrier underneath or no rug at all. Lights. A lot of older adults start to lose some of their eyesight in different ways. So it's really important to have extra lighting around the stairs, exterior lighting, flashlights near their beds. And that's another thing. When I'm moving someone in, I make sure that the bed placement is close to the bathroom so that they don't have to get up, walk around a bed where they can't see the end of it. So we want that distance to be clutter-free and easy to access. So AARP does have a home fit catalog that has a lot of different suggestions. That's at www.aarp.org/homefit. So that's a nice tool, a nice resource to use. But there does come a time when that loved one just simply can't remain in their home, and that's where I come in. This is where my heart and my passion is, to be able to help them transition from that environment into their new living community. So at that point, now it's the hard part. How do you have the conversation? Well, you start asking them simple questions. You may start to recognize they're not eating as much as they should, or that food is spoiled, or the house isn't as clean. And you might even ask, well, what did you do for your parents? Did you ever have to do this for someone that you loved? And then take them to a few places. Do your homework, find out what their medical needs are, where they'll fit. And then that's the next opportunity for me to come out, do the hour consultation, help them decide what they can take, and then visit with the community, find out what time of day that they can move in, where we can park a moving truck, just all of those details that families just don't think about right away. That I have the experience that I know what the next steps are. So,
well, one of the things that I've in working with families in these transitions is there's a lot of frustration. And again, I think working with people like yourself, it helps to negate a lot of that frustration because they're trying to do too many things at the same time. They're trying to be either a spouse or a daughter or a son, but also the move manager. They're also having to deal with difficult decisions, like you mentioned last segment, the 4 spatulas. What a great example of someone who is connected emotionally to something that really has no more ongoing value. But again, there's a connection there, and people at that stage of life are really sensitive to losing things, whether it's losing independence, it's losing being able to be in the home that they lived in for decades, or losing the things that were in the home. And so again, working with you can help, again, bring some independence to that process and prevent the family from having to step in and making decisions. Again, let them be family and let you be the organizer and the planner and helping prioritize.
Right. There are some common mistakes to that move, too. They anticipate that they can bring more than what's actually going to fit. Or they didn't plan ahead in terms of how much time it was going to take. Or sometimes they depend on family members. And if you're like me, you're out of state. So you have to take vacation time and you have to plan for that. Another challenge is that sometimes they'll try to get an estimate from a mover over the phone. And I don't really recommend that. I think it's better to have the mover come to the home and assess, because you can imagine in your head, picture 2 different types of dressers. One dresser is very ornate, very big, and one is very small. And maybe like a child's, a young daughter's dresser that they've had for 30 years. So there's differences in moving for sure. So that's one of the things that I'll bring to the table, is to be able to say, well, these pieces fit. Here's another story. My mom still loved having her grandkids come over. So one of the things that she wanted was all the grandkid toys. So we made sure that we brought over at least a piece of furniture that could store all those toys. And that was really a good thing for her. It made her feel good, and the kids still felt welcome, the grandkids.
Well, and that's the thing, too. When you do have a transition, there's familiarity that needs to be developed in that new environment, and to bring certain things that have value like that and can bring joy, and again, make it so that people feel welcome to come visit. That's very, very important.
Right. And when I would say this, after we moved Mom so many times, and Dad too, Mom would always say she didn't want to move. She liked her apartment for whatever reason they did. They were forced to move to a different one. And she would say, "Oh, Kim, I just love it." And the staff at the community would come in and say, "We could use this as a model. This looks great." So it was always a very welcoming environment. And that's what you want. You want it to feel like home.
Yeah. I wonder if we should talk about the difference of downsizing or right-sizing, how that process, how you help in that process, because there's, again, a lot of emotions that are tied to things, and maybe help us with maybe some of the statistics that you are very familiar with.
Sure. So 80% of the clutter in our homes is really just a matter of disorganization. And 1 in 11 of us have a storage unit. 1 in 11. A lot of senior communities will have storage available. That's oftentimes a nice opportunity for folks that they aren't sure what they're going to use, and they might want to come back to it so they can store that. Maybe that's where they put their holiday decorations, something like that. Junk mail. The average American gets 49,000 pieces in a lifetime. So a third of it is just junk mail, and then it just kind of stacks. We only wear about 20% of our clothing. The rest of it just kind of hangs on the rack. So as you start to think about downsizing and right-sizing, think about those clothes that you haven't really worn for a long time, and find ways, you can always donate them. Maybe it's a dressier dress. Consider donating that to a theater troupe. They might be able to use that for costumes. Maybe it's books. There's half-price books. We'll always accept some books. Pick yours. Pick your favorites. The rule of thumb is around 30 because books are heavy, they're hard to move, and they're hard to store. So think of those kinds of opportunities. I can help you with all of those resources as well. So they're out there. We just aren't really thinking of them. A colleague mentioned that someone had a Dickens village, and what should I do? And it was a pretty expansive one. And maybe what you might consider is donating or giving those to your favorite friends. Let them come and pick out 1 or 2, and they have a memory of you, and they keep that. Maybe they just want 2 or 3. Maybe you don't have to have the set all together. So there's some options.
Well, I guess it helps to have someone like you provide options and alternatives, whether it's where do I donate this to. I think there's a lot of decisions that go into it that exhausts people, and it creates frustration. And if you're there helping them saying, well, I know that we can give this to this organization, or this organization loves to get these things here, I think that also helps a person to let that go, knowing that this is going to an organization or helpful to people that can use it. It can repurpose that. And again, it allows that emotions to be valued, but also then be resolved, because they are all letting these things go to good homes.
Yes.
We got a couple minutes left in this segment here. Let's talk about how moving is overwhelming, and maybe some of the common things that you've come across with just the whole move process.
As you start to think about it, if the child or siblings are the ones that are really starting to work on that process, it means weekends. It means they think about having a garage sale, and then even that's emotional to have that garage sale. And it's a lot of work. Estate sales are really a great opportunity. They operate maybe a little differently than they have in the past. And they're not always as lucrative as what we would hope them to be. But you can always call someone for an estimate, have them come out, and they'll let you know if they have a piece of furniture that's of value. So those are some of the things that we might encounter as to what to do with that. So a senior move manager will come in and help with that plan, and help that organization, and help with just always be in constant communication with the family members, with movers, and also other resources. Maybe they are considering selling the home, so I would have opportunities to work with other realtors. It's not a referral fee for me, it's a resource.
And that's one thing you keep reinforcing to me as I've gotten to know you, is you really are a resource, whether it's for other services
Yes.
that'll help support that transition, again, or it's helping find homes for things that people just know they can't take with them, but they do want to have a sense that they've gone to the right place. Right now, we got the last 30 seconds here. When we come back for the next segment, let's talk about some of the reasons why adults are moving out of their home and some of the other elements of making that process a lot easier. So it's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Kim Green, Senior Move Manager and owner of Soft Landing Transitions. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Prairie Oaks Memorial Eco Gardens is the first green cemetery in Minnesota. It's a beautiful, peaceful place where burials are celebrations of life with as little impact on the environment as possible. Tony Weber founded it because he wants to leave a green legacy for his grandchildren, something many of us might feel. Learn more, visit the website mngreengraves.com. Give them a call. The goal is so meaningful, so positive, it might be right for you. Prairie Oaks Memorial Eco Gardens.
I'm Candy Brothel, publisher of the Twin Cities edition of Natural Awakenings magazine and host of Green Tea Conversations, a news show for people who are on a journey to take responsibility for their health and play a more active role in their family's well-being. Join me every Sunday at 10 a.m. as I interview local experts who share the latest in natural holistic approaches in a fun and informative way. So grab a cup of tea and join the conversation as we awaken to natural health. Visit us at naturaltwincities.com.
At Burger Mo's, Mondays no longer need to be a drag. Dine on the beautiful patio for Burger Monday Madness every Monday after 4 p.m., where you can order any burger and fries on the menu for just $6. Not valid on Excel event evenings. Burger Mo's offers 20 fresh, never frozen burger varieties, as well as delicious appetizers, soups, salads, and unburgers, dogs, paninis, shakes, and desserts. Located at 242 West 7th Street in St. Paul, with plenty of free parking, and online at burgermos.com.
You can't go through a day without hearing about healthcare reform. St. Paul Corner Drug is here to help you navigate the ever-changing healthcare landscape. We are your advocate in getting much-needed prescription medication covered under your insurance plan. Need to choose a different plan? There is no reason to feel like you are drowning in the system. St. Paul Corner Drug can make simple work out of finding you a plan that best suits your needs. You can rest assured at St. Paul Corner Drug, pharmacy the way it should be.
Hello, Twin Cities listeners. Tom Hartman here. Join me for a talk on Saturday, June 29th at Next Chapter Booksellers. That's at 38 South Snelling Avenue. It's at 7 p.m. Mass shootings are on the rise, so what's holding the U.S. back from enacting change? The Hidden History of Guns and the Second Amendment, my new book, is an in-depth, historically informed view of the role guns have played throughout American history. From early European settlement to the Revolutionary War and Manifest Destiny, through the use of the slave patrols in the Deep South, which became the well-regulated militias so debated in 1787, to the recent school massacres. Plus, I'll talk solutions and sign books. In fact, a whole spectrum of my books. So if you have questions, come. We'll be doing a Q&A. Put it on your calendar. Saturday, June 29th at 7 p.m. Join me at Next Chapter Booksellers, 38 South Snelling Avenue. Look forward to seeing you there, and bring your questions. Tag You're It.
Welcome back. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health, your life, and your loved ones' health and life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today in studio is Kim Green, a senior move manager and owner of Soft Landing Transitions. And we are talking about the benefits and the advantages of using a professional senior move manager when looking at transitions and downsizing and right-sizing for our aging parents or our aging loved ones. Kim, please let our audience know one more time how they can get in touch with you if they have questions or want a consultation.
Thanks. Website, www.softlandingtransitions.com, or my phone number, 763-639-5931.
Fantastic. And we'll give out that information one more time at the end of the show. So if you missed it, grab a pencil and have paper ready, and we'll get that information to you one more time before the end of the show. So the last segment here, Kim, I do want to talk about some of the kind of who your clients are and what the concerns that they have when they come to you. And many times it sounds like the clients are the children, and they're coming to you asking, now, I want to make sure my parents are safe, that they're secure. Help me with maybe a safety check on where they're at, and then if we're going to be transitioning, make sure and ensure that that's a safe environment as well. So could you talk about maybe some of that dialogue that you have and what some of those conversations are?
So my client is always the senior. It's the children that recognize that their loved one needs some help. But they are always the client. I serve their needs because at the end of the day, what we want is for them to have a successful outcome. We want them to feel like where they've chosen to live feels like home. So having said that, kids start to recognize that mom and dad are they're slipping and falling a little bit more often, or maybe they're forgetful, or, that obvious one, should they still be driving? What I would like to remind, you've already said this once, Ken, this is about planning. So I'd like to remind the children of aging parents that you can either be the caregiver or you can start to plan and then supervise the caregiving. Those are two really different things. So the things that they should start to look for are, maybe their home isn't quite as safe as it should be anymore. Maybe they aren't able to keep it up. Mobility becomes an issue. Now they have a walker and they have a couple of stairs. Maybe the laundry is in the basement. They start to have frequent falls. Maybe the home isn't well lit enough, or they just have some balance issues, or it's reduced vision. So all of those things start the process of when it's time to start planning. And it can take a while, and that's okay. The next step is to start thinking about where they can go, what they can afford, what services they provide.
And you're right. A lot of the planning evolves around financial issues, and people need to be looking at that. What is the cost of the transition, and what is the cost of the environment that they're going to be in? And so you're, again, helping with that conversation just gets the wheels turning so that people can have those conversations with their parents.
Yeah, it's really about the wheels turning. I really can't make any recommendations as to where they might live or move to, simply because I don't have that level of experience, and everyone's challenges are different, and different communities offer different services. So it really depends. But after they've moved, that's where I come in. Mm-hmm. Or, after they've selected a place, that's where I come in.
Because that's what you just remind the audience, what you'll do is you'll get the floor plan of the place that they're moving into, and then you can take that and look at what they have existing and identify what are the important things to help make sure they can prioritize how that's going to fit together. I think you do a great job of almost like three-dimensional planning as you locate where the bed's going to be and locate where things need to be from an access standpoint or from an electrical outlet standpoint, and again, ensuring that there's a safe environment, that it's easy to move around in. Right. Those are the things that you help to bring to the table.
Right. I focus on storage because that's such an important part. But if there's a particular desk or a particular chair that really means a lot to that client, to that older adult, then we're going to figure out ways to make that happen. If they can't fit all of the things that they want, then I have a floor plan in which they can choose and say, well, we can pick this one or we can pick this one. And that really does help to ease the transition. It's very expensive to move something into a new place and then find out that it doesn't fit, because now the mover has to take it back. and they don't know where to take it to unless they're taking it back to the home. And that they aren't going to put the home on for sale immediately or whatever the situation is. So that's why I think it's really helpful to have that floor plan, and seniors can visualize it. It's much easier.
Yeah, and you said it is an expensive process to move, and so working with you can help to minimize that and make sure that the money being spent is spent well.
Right.
Now, in terms of your services, are you on an hourly project basis or on a package basis? How do you charge for your services?
I have a menu of services. It kind of depends on what they need.
Okay.
So if they've moved in, maybe it can be by hour to start with, with a package of hours where we're just going to come in and we're going to organize and downsize the kitchen. And it's just baby steps, or it might be the entire process from selecting the pieces and the items to go to the new community, being there to oversee the movers, coordinate with the new community, and then help to set up that new apartment so it feels like home.
That's great. And again, you will help to find homes for the items that cannot be taken with them. Again, that's very satisfying for the family and for the owners of those items, because they have special meaning. And again, they want to make sure those go, if they can go to a location or to a service that would value those at that time.
We sure try.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of things that people have, they've accumulated for years. And like you said, it helps to be able to maybe bring in somebody that can give a valuation on some of those things, so they know if that's something they should maintain, let go of, or dispose of it in any given way. Okay, we've got about a minute left here in the show. Kim, I just really appreciate you being in here and the great work you do for our elder community and helping out the children as they're trying to help make sure their parents are in a safe environment. So I want to thank you, Kim, for being here today. She is the Senior Move Manager and owner of Soft Landing Transitions. And we've been talking about the benefits of using a professional Senior Move Manager as people look at the transitions in life. Kim, could you tell us one more time how to get in touch with you if people have questions or concerns or comments?
Sure. My phone number is 763-639-5931. And my website, and I encourage everyone to visit my website, www.softlandingtransitions.com.
Fantastic. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's show. Please contact us with any questions or comments you have regarding today's conversation, or let us know of topics you would like for us to discuss on future shows. You can reach us by phone or text at 612-999-3426. Please join us again next Saturday at noon for another live broadcast. And thank you for listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. And until next time, live well.